We are working on a technical counseling skills. This is the ninth session. Interpretation. What the interpretation means. So interpretation means when I speak in English, you wanna just listen to, but you don't understand English, for example, let's say, and then somebody wants to have an interpreter to understand with their own language. So interpretation is simply here's a client and here's a counselor. Both are same. So the clients are talking to the counselors, and the counselors is thinking about what the client is talking about, and then they are talking this and that, and at the same time, verbally and non-verbally, and you wanna just see, listen and see what the client is talking about, and non-verbal, and you can feel the story, and including problems, hardships, and what kinds of situations, and physical, mental, spiritual conditions, and at the same time you can see the feelings, what they are feeling, depression, anxiety, frustration, lots of things they have. So you wanna just try to understand their verbal and non-verbal messages, and for understanding them right. And sometimes, or in most cases, clients don't know what's going on. They know what's going on, but they don't quite what's going on. And even though they know what's going on, they want to just make sure their thinking is right. And they want to just make sure if they are understanding what's going on to them. And then the counselors are just listening to them and looking at those clients' facial expressions, nonverbal, languages, and then the counselors is supposed to interpret with those stuff, okay, interpret, and then tell to the clients, or tell, or show what's really going on, okay. So interpretation is kind of showing another picture, the client is here, another picture summarizing and representing and showing the core problem. And so then the client can see what's going on to them through the interpretation, okay. So interpretation is like English speaker, Chinese speaker, but they don't understand each other. But the interpreter is here. Interpreter just listen to them, and then actually that's kind of another language. And then the counselor is interpreting this to the person again. Okay. Some people are saying, I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know what I'm talking about. Well, they can pull some memories from here to there, and from other things, and then they are just talking about this and that, and then the counselor is organizing. The interpreting is part of or reorganizing. So organize all things together, like let's say the client can say A, C, F, Z, K, L. Okay, that's the order the client just talk to the counselor, and then the counselor can organize it A, C, F, K, L, Z. By organizing this, summarizing, organizing. This organizing means time and cause and effect, results, reason and results, and those things are organized well. So even the clients didn't understand what they are talking about, but by organizing this, the way of interpreting, the client can see the order, the reasons and results or something like that, and they can see clearly. Oh, that's why it happens. And that's what's going on. That is what's going on, and then your clients can understand what's really going on to them. That's an interpretation. What about then what about the feelings? That is related. Some feelings, lots of feelings, and the feeling frustration is related with the depression is related to F. Some feelings, anxiety is related to C. And then those feelings and contents are matched together, and some reason and effect and cause and results. Those things are related together, and then sometimes it can be related with this. That is because of this. All kinds of things are possible in the story. So that's what counselors are supposed to do. Okay. Interpretation, like in UN, whenever they have meetings, they have interpretation device, translation device, and interpreters are up on the high on the booth, in a booth up on the high, and they just listen to the speaker and interpret with their own language, so the UN ambassadors can understand what's going on. For the better understandings, they want to just reorganize what the speaker is talking about, and but actually they are trying to interpret, you know, lively. Actually, they are doing that, and then they want to just interpret word by word, but they have to sometimes they have to change the words because English is saying I am a boy, but in Korean subject, I am boy, I boy, am. Okay, that's the order of the Korean, and Japanese have similar. The Chinese are using this, or Chinese order of the words are sent to English, but the Korean is different. So interpreters have to just think about it and reorganize the words, and so they know how to interpret I'm a boy in their own languages. So that's what so-called interpretation. Okay, so the counselors, for that, counselors have to understand what the client is talking about. And then they want to just try to put, they want to make their own kind of, they want to make a kind of boxes, so they can, when the client is talking about A, and they just put it, because this is the order, and this is the C, and F, L, K, L, Z, something like that, and they just listen, and but that they want to just reorganize it and interpret it. So this is the new picture. Okay, new picture is sent to this new picture and show that to, and then explain that the picture to the clients back again, so the clients can understand what's really going on. Okay. That's the interpretation. Okay. Do you have any question or comments, Fuminori?
No question.
Is Fuminori your first name or last name?
Fuminori is first name.
First name, okay.
Yeah.
So people call you Fuminori. Alright, that's the interpretation. Do you have any experience that you needed any interpretation before? Yeah. Were you
Before?
Yeah. Did you have any experience that you needed an interpreter, translator? Right.
Interpreter. It's like a translator.
Yeah, translator.
Many times.
Many times. Do you use cell phone for translating?
I have a Google Translate.
Try Google Translate,
Yeah.
right?
I have.
It's very convenient, right?
Yeah. Very convenient.
Very convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used that recently because a Chinese person, she didn't speak English, so I had to use the Google Translator. I think it is getting better. The Google Translator is getting better. So in the past it was not that good, but nowadays I just got impressed with that the Google Translator is getting developed I think because of the AI, or I don't know, they are collecting more data, and then they can translate better. I think. All right. So that's the interpretation. Okay. But in the counseling, the counselors is not an interpreter, the language interpreter, but the kind of a psychological story interpreter. Okay. It's not language interpreter, so they don't want to just interpret the Japanese into Korean or into American or English, but they want to just see what's going on to the clients and understand fully as much as they can, and then let clients know what they really said, what's really going on to them. That's in that sense, counselors are interpreters. All right. Okay. This is the first one. A therapist's interpretation. I just explained this before I get into the PowerPoints, because understanding this one is way easier than understanding the words and today's PPTs, because so this is easier, right? I just explained almost everything, and clients and counselors, and I just show some pictures and letters and contents, and this is easier for people and for me. Like so, counselors want to just use a simple and direct, clear ways to interpret, so the clients can understand what's really going on to them. Yeah. Without that, counselors can, make things harder. Make things more difficult, so that they don't, because, and then it's gonna be harder for people to understand what's going on. A therapist interpretation is a technique that introduces the client to a new theoretically based frame of reference. Okay, so this is new. Okay, this is what the client says, and the counselor just made a new one, right? A new frame. Because what if the client is thinking, telling the therapist that because of his mom, for example, because of his mom, he got depressed or something like that, or actually, what if a situation made him depressed, but he didn't understand what's going on between he and his mom. Okay, but the therapist could understand it's not only because of the situation he got depressed by his mom, because his mom used and she is currently making him more depressed, because harsh words or ignorance, negligence, or avoiding, or pressing him, or pushing him to do so, this and that, and all kinds of these activities of his mom can, could affect him, to be depressed. Well, maybe he didn't want to admit that. Maybe he just wanted to protect his mom because he didn't want to blame her because she is very strong. So he just tried to cover up. But what if that is because of his mom? Then the counselor could see what's going on, so he could, draw another picture. What if this is his picture? He's in a situation, but his mom is outside, but the counselor can see this is himself, but this is his mom, depressing him in a situation. That situation is one of the situation, and there are more and lots of situations, and that's reframing. Right? That's so new, because he was thinking this is right, this is his condition and situation, but this is real. After the counselor's interpretation. Okay, so the counselor is showing him the new and theoretically all things are related with them. There was no connection at all, but so that's the new frame, new thing, theoretical. Then there is no theory, but over different theory the client has, but the counselor shows the new theoretical new things. It is kind of new, but maybe he just was aware of it. He knows it, but he doesn't want to talk about that. But the counselor can show that. An interpretation goes beyond the explicit and observable client content and involves communicating an interpretation goes beyond the explicit and observable client content. So that's not what the client couldn't imagine or think or consider whether that is purposely or unpurposely, intentionally or non-intentionally. So and then involves communicating an inferred component with the intention of adding new knowledge, understanding, or meaning. Okay. So that is intention of adding new knowledge. So because the client has to understand what's really going on, and mom, and the situations. So the situation is not the main, not the key, but the mom here. So that there are huge differences. Without understanding this, client cannot solve his problems, because the key is his mom, not the particular situation. Because of his mom, all kinds of situations are making him depressed. Right? So that is the new knowledge. And then new understanding and the meaning, new meanings. Okay. So the counselors have to listen to their clients carefully, but at the same time, they just have to see what's really going on to their clients. So they have to try to know what's really going on. For that, interpretation is, very crucial, quite important. Okay, that's the new meaning. All right. As long as he's staying with this and counselor doesn't understand what's really going on, but the counselor just stick to that, what the clients said only, and then they want to just work on the situation only, but they're gonna miss the main key, mother, okay, his mother. Then it's gonna be really hard for the clients, and then it's not gonna be a successful counseling for the counselor too, because without knowing the main, key problem, how we can solve the problems, it is not doable. Okay, so that is the new knowledge, new understanding to him, and new meaning to him. But thankfully, because of the counselors in application, the clients can see clearly what's really going on, and he and the counselor can work together on him, especially the client can know and know how to deal with his mom in this situation. Okay. Right. So that's what the interpretation. Okay. We are talking about interpretation, that is when our clients say this and that. Sometimes they don't know what's going on, and sometimes they can miss the key problems they have. So in the case, the counselors are supposed to interpret the client's stories and talking into the real things. Okay. All right, that's the interpretation. So we need that quite. So that is inevitable. So, all right, the next one is that interpretation, any statement to the client which goes beyond what they have said or are aware of. So interpretations that can be matched to what the client said, but that's what's so-called paraphrasing or summary or something like that. But the interpretation is just letting the client know what real problems are. They are facing too. Okay, that's beyond what they have said. So it can be different, like this. This is what the client said, the guy said, but this is what, quite different with what he said. In interpretation, the counselor is providing new meaning, reason, or explanation for behaviors, thoughts, or feelings so that clients can see problems in a new way. Okay. In interpretation, the counselor is providing new meaning. It's not because of that particular situation, it's because of your mom. Okay? That is a new meaning. Okay? Because your mom, just has pushed you for long times, so you can understand what really happened in the past. Because you are getting punched, you think that getting punched from your mom is kind of okay, or that's what it is, that's natural, okay? And you can think all kids can get punched by your mom, not physically but mentally, you know, psychologically by her harsh words and kind of misconduct, like, you know, harsh taking care of, you know, negligences or avoids or abusing those kind of things, then that's the reason. What's the reason? Not the situation, but his mom. Okay. Or explanation for behaviors, and you can understand, his client can understand his mom's behavior. Yeah. Kind of harsh words. Negligence. Or, you know, ignore those kind of things. And then he can understand his mom's behaviors and thoughts or feelings. Why the guy is thinking that it's not because of his mom, but because of the situation, because he wanted to protect his mom, and he just wanted to cover up, you know, his mom. That's the thing. That's the new feelings. So that clients can see problems in a new way. Oh, now I know. It's not because of the particular situation, but because of his mom. Okay. Right? That's the new way. It's the new way. So that's what the clients couldn't see or pretend, you know, maybe he pretends that he doesn't know it. Okay. It's a way of protecting his mom also. Okay. Interpretations can help the client to make connections between seemingly isolated statements of the events. So the guy just, you know, mentioned this kind of events, lots of events, but he couldn't understand why those are happening to him. But now the counselors just reorganize the story and make the story kind of interpret in a certain particular way like this. So the client can see the connections. A, C, G. Those events are not just individual events, but those are connected together. Okay. Well, not all things are connected, but in particular, you know, like those things can be separate events related with not his mom but his wife, for example, because his wife has kind of a similarity with his mom, you know, in some ways, not totally, but partially. Okay, semi-isolated statements of events can point out themes or patterns. Oh, themes and patterns, that is what? That is abuse. That's what's called abuse. That's the new frame, new theme. Okay, that's the new pattern. His mom is pinpointing, you know, him or directing him or pushing him, you know, not guiding him, but pushing. Yeah. But he was thinking that was mom's guidance, but that's not mom's guidance at all. Or can offer a new framework for understanding. Then, after this interpretation, you know, the client can see different ways. You know, he can see things different ways. It's not because of his situations coming to him, he's in. It's because of his mom. So that new understanding can encourage him to see the real key problem and can get energy to focus on the real problem. Okay, the key things. That is what we want to see in this concept. All right, this is the next one. So let me know if you have any comments or questions.
No question.
All right, great. So are you with me? So do you understand what I'm saying? All right, great. All right, next one is on interpretation. May be used to help clients focus on a specific aspect of their problem or provide a goal. Okay. So that interpretation, as I mentioned before, that interpretation, this one, not this one. So clients can focus on the key problem, the relationship with his mom, not the particular situation or situations. So what is the goal? It's not dealing with the situation, particular situation, but dealing with, well, it is important. He is supposed to take care of the particular situation, but he wants to focus on the relationship with his mom, so he doesn't have to repeat the same problem again and again. Right? Keep interpretations short, concrete, and deliver them tentatively and with empathy. Okay, so interpretation is supposed to be simple. So the client just told the counselor this many things, kind of mess, there was no order, no reasoning thing, results much, but this interpretation is shorter than the real contents, okay? Shorter and concrete, very solid, organized, and deliver them tentatively, and then you want to just present this interpretation to the client clearly. Tentatively, which means, oh, I know, this is it. This is what's happening to you. No, you don't want to just wait, because with my best knowledge and understandings, I think what you said is this. This is what I think. What do you think about it? Do you see do you think this is what's happening to you? Or you can just, present that tentatively, because what if we go wrong? What if, even though you said you think this is very right, but what if there are some little tiny misunderstandings? What if that interpretation got twisted or kind of wrong in some parts? Then you got in trouble too, and you don't want to just push your clients to accept your interpretation. Okay? Actually, that's what his mom did. His mom is doing, right? And then there can be interference and counter interference also. And use interpretations sparingly, and do not assume a client's rejection of your insight means they are resistant or that you are right. Okay. So when you just present that interpretation to your client, okay, and you don't want to just think, oh, your client, he is admitting that your interpretation is right. He's accepting your interpretation totally. We cannot say that, okay? Because we don't want to just assume that. We don't want to assume your client is accepting this totally or rejecting this. Because it is kind of shocking for your client. Because he's been focusing on the situations because he didn't want to just, you know, he has a fear with, you know, toward his mom. So he didn't want to just, you know, involve his mom over there. But that's new stuff. That new stuff is kind of new interpretation is challenging to the client, and there can be kind of more struggles on his relationship with his mom, and that can lead him, you know, to a kind of more problems, right? Then that's what you don't want to expect. You don't want to just see, right? So that's what we have to see. Okay, that's what we have to see. All right. So you want to just remember, the counselors have to remember that your interpretation can be challenging to your clients. It can trigger some more problems, but you want to see that. You want to see that actually, because you want to see what's really going on, and those things are quite important. But is it good for your counseling or clients? So that's why you want to just present, show that your interpretation to your client tentatively and carefully, so your clients can see what's really going on, right? All right, the next one. A therapist's interpretation is a proposition that goes beyond what the client overly recognizes, right? Right? That's what I mentioned. That goes beyond what the client overly recognizes. So they think this is it, but that's what beyond what the client was thinking about. B may take several forms, such as interpretation of defenses, transferences, and explanation of feelings and behavior. So for the interpretation, maybe you can just interpret, that can be interpretation of the defenses. How he just tried to defend his mom, or defend himself from the relationship with his mom and himself and his mom. And what about the transference and explanation of feelings, feelings and behaviors? Because your clients is, has explained his feelings and behavior for long times, but it takes, but you want to just take several forms, those things. See as something qualitatively different to clients, verbalizations and often present clients with new meanings or perspectives. Okay. So your interpretation can provide the different things. Okay? Something qualitative different to clients. verbalizations. So that's what's called the difference. You know. This is more qualitative, okay, than this, because based on his own stories and feelings and relationships, that interpretation provides the client more qualitative things, and often, yes, I think in most cases it provides the new meanings and new perspectives to your clients. That's new. That's new. Well, you can find some differences. You can find, key problems like this in this case, but can you do that in all cases? Maybe you don't find this any, then you just take your time, or you just don't try to jump into interpret everything what your clients said, because you don't have to interpret everything, but you want to just focus on understanding what your clients is talking about, and then you can take your time to interpret, so you can build your new story. I mean, new theory and new interpretation. So you better not to jump into right away, but you want to just take your time, please. Take your time, because you have plenty of time to interpret. You don't have to interpret everything. Okay. There can be some useless information, and you want to just remove it. Okay. If those are not related to any key problems, or what if those are hindering you to understand your client's right, and you want to just let those things out. Okay. So counselors are supposed to be careful not to jump into the interpretation, everything right away, quickly or something, but at the same time, you don't interpret right, that both can be a problem to you. So we need kind of training, special trainings for that. Okay. So you have any questions or comments so far? No? All right, and then it is important to examine the role of interpretation and its relation to the occurrence of in-session therapeutic phenomena for some reasons. Okay. You just interpret those things why. So you just interpret this to this, which is great. And how are you going to use this? How are you going to use this? Okay? How are you going to present this to your client? Is there anything, how are you going to edit your interpretation? Okay? Those things are what you want to consider in your counselings. Okay. Alright? And there are things you want to consider. First, psychotherapists often use this intervention either explicitly or implicitly, and it has been hypothesized as a common factor across the different therapeutic approaches. Okay. Then when you just use this, how you gonna how you gonna just apply to your counseling sessions, and how you gonna hello how you gonna use this for your counseling sessions. Okay. That is a kind of innovation. So you wanna just use this to your clients properly. Okay. Although it is extensively studied in psychodynamic schools of therapy, it is a technique that is employed but not well understood in the non-dynamic therapies. It is therefore important to understand how it is used as well as how it could be improved. So that is about the interpretation, and some people and psychologists or psychiatrists, actually the psychologists are thinking that if that is really helpful or not, and is there any problems, or is there any dangers, or is there any things we need to consider, and those things are very crucial you want to consider. Okay, and well, that's pretty dynamic sometimes, but it can be kind of painful to the clients. Actually, that happens in most cases, or that can be a kind of eye-opening moments. So which means the clients can understand what's really going on, and then. But what if the client is not willing to work on the relationship with his mom? In this case, then it can be a kind of problem. And then how are you gonna just work with your clients to focus on that relationship rather than a particular situation? And those things are what the counselors have to solve. Unless that counseling can go, wide. I mean, can be very hard for both the client and the counselor, because it can be very huge challenge to the client. All right, and so we are working on, it's quite important to examine the role interpretation, okay, and then its relations to the occurrence of in-session therapy phenomena for some reasons. And the second one is this: it is important to deepen our understanding of psychotherapy change process, okay? Psychotherapeutic change process. Garfield and Kurtz found that almost half of clinicians they surveyed use whatever works best. So they want to just use whatever works best for the client, right? That's what they said. All right, that is good. They can use whatever works for their clients, which is great. They are willing to help their clients. Okay. And with an ascending trend toward eclecticism, okay, it is important to examine therapeutic ingredients that facilitate client change, right? How are we gonna do so? Doing this can really helpful to your clients. That's what you wanna ask yourself. What if it can be more dangerous? What if it can be more hurtful to your clients? is this the right timing you want to just do it, or you want to just put this, you know, kind of you want to wait for this until your clients get ready for that, right? Or then for that, why don't the client and the counselor just ask, you know, the clients about, you know, the relationship with his, you know, he and his mom, right? Then that's the point we want to ask. Right? So, you know, we are working on the interpretation. Interpretation is simply the counselor listen to the client's the whole story and feelings, but sometimes the clients doesn't understand what's really going on. So the counselor just make those things, you know, together and make a kind of organized story connected with those scattered feelings and put those things together, and that's also called interpretation. So the client said that something, he's got depressed because of a particular situation and the mom is outside of the situation, but based on the counselor's interpretation, he's been kind of abused or got depressed by his mom because of the bad relationship with his mom. So the particular situations are kind of secondary things, but the key point is his mom. But what we are talking about right now, after the interpretation, which is great, but it can be right or wrong, or it can be edited by your client and the counseling, you know, themselves. But how we gonna present that interpretation to your client? Is that really helpful to your client? And how and when we're gonna just present to your clients? Okay. For example, do you have anything? Do you have any? I'm trying to ask you right now. I'm trying to ask you right now. Do you have any uncomfortableness or kind of things are not going well because of your kind of awkward or wrong relationship with your families or friends or co-workers?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yes.
For me, I have a kind of problem with a person who showed misconduct, kind of violent misconduct 3 times in last for 2 years. In that case, all people can think, I want to just release him, okay, kick him out. So actually that is quite right. But what if I can't do it because of the decision makers are not willing to do it because they are his old friends and families? Then do you think that I can focus on my own job, own work, or it can be bothered by, or it can be blocked by the particular guy and the board? What do you think about
Do you have contact with this person all the time?
it?
If you don't have contact, you can
I do.
probably avoid.
I
If
do.
you have contact, it's very difficult.
I know.
Probably
It is another situation.
because
Right?
better all the time. But if you don't have contact, probably not thinking about everything is okay.
I do contact with him. I have to work with him sometimes, but he doesn't listen to my direction. He doesn't follow my directions. Then, what I'm supposed to do?
Change work.
What is just to work?
Just change work, yeah?
Just to try to work?
Change work.
Change your work. Okay, so you want me just find another job?
Just get a new job.
I don't know.
Go away.
Depends how bad.
It can be a good solution. One of the good options I have actually. Which is great. Which is great actually. I think most people can do it, and they want to just do it. If you want to just change your employee,
Yeah.
you know, sometimes you can't change your employee.
Yeah.
Sometimes you cannot, you know, terminate your employees because of the laws, you know, because of the suits. People sue their companies, you know, which just kind of you know, kick him out, and then they sue. That's why, especially the counties and governments, that's why they can't, even though they can, but they can't terminate their employees because of the suits. They're afraid of suits, especially in the California. In most cases, the companies lose the case. So it's pretty tough to have business in in California especially, because the court usually go for they care more the employees than employers. So relocating is one of the options. This is great. Oh, what about you? What do you think about it? In that case, what do you think you can do?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Can you repeat the question for me?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. For example, I have an employee, but he showed kind of violent misconduct for 3 times in last 2 years. But the board doesn't want to terminate him because majority of the board members are his friends and relatives and families. So I cannot have the board terminate him right away. So I cannot focus on my jobs because of the
No. The rules?
the load. Wait, what?
Yeah. Sorry. Just keep going.
And he just suggested she just suggested that I have to have another job. That is a good option actually. That is a good option.
I know, but
Cause I cannot change him. Nobody wanna, nobody
but the
wants
way
to
you lose
change
job.
him. What?
I mean, if you quit the job, you don't. I mean, it's hard to get other job. Though.
Yeah, what if I cannot just get out of the job? That's what you think. Yeah.
It's hard.
Just wait until he dies.
No. Try to.
Well, it can be one of the solutions, actually. I don't have to kill the person, but I can wait until he dies.
No, maybe your boss is younger than me. How?
He's older than me, which is great. So in general, he's gonna die older than me. Right? But I have no idea when he can die.
Oh,
Well, I can show you. Do you go church?
yeah.
You
Yeah.
do you go church? You
Not-
go church? You go church. Fumino, you go church? You go temple? You go temple? You go Buddhist temple?
Oh, yeah.
Are you Muslim?
템.
Are you Islam?
아니,
No.
No, he is like a British, right?
British?
British go temple.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so three of us are Christians, so I can explain that to you. That's Israel, okay. Jordan River, Galilee, and Dead Sea. Have you heard about the Dead Sea in Jerusalem? Okay? You know the Jerusalem? Jerusalem?
Jerusalem.
Yeah.
Jehovah?
Jerusalem?
Jerusalem.
Jerusalem?
Yeah.
Okay. English is a crazy language. They just don't pronounce things right. Jerusalem is the original name, but in English people they just
I just think about what's the called Middle East?
East,
Middle East.
Middle East,
Jerusalem.
Middle East. I mean Middle East. What? Jerusalem is there. It's Israel, part of Israel.
Okay.
They are fighting against the Gaza, right? Gaza.
Yeah.
Fighting, having war with Israel and Palestine.
Yes.
Alright? I'm not talking about that. I think it's a recording, so I cannot say the truth. Alright, so that's the Sinai, and then that's Egypt. Okay? Long times ago, the Israelis were slaves in Egypt for many years. Okay? And then God called Moses. Okay? You know what the Moses? Mose. Okay. You know who the Mose is, right? And then he called Moses and made him lead the Israelites to the promised land. Promised land. That God promised, Abraham.
Yeah.
Abraham.
That's true.
Well, it is true, but I don't know if that is right or wrong.
No doubt about it.
I'm a Christian too.
Okay.
So don't think about that. I'm a atheist or non-Christian. I'm a Christian. Okay, but let's think about it. So Moses just they made Exodus. Exodus means they could get out of the Egypt, and they were in the wilderness. And one day Moses sent the 12 people to take a look at the land, particular land, and they said, "Oh, those people are stronger and bigger than us. We're gonna get defeated." But only Joshua and Caleb, two people out of 10 people said, "We cannot get it. We are weaker than them. We're gonna die when we fight against with those people." But Joshua and Caleb, only two people said, "We can win over them. God give us that land for us, so we're gonna go for it. We're gonna fight for them, and we're gonna get it." But the 10 people said no, so they just decided not to fight against those people, but they just stayed in the wilderness. Because of it, God just let the Israelites stay in the wilderness how many years? How many years they had to stay in the wilderness? They couldn't get the promised land, but they had to wait in the wilderness. How many years? Days? Months? 40 years. 40 years. I think you are Christians, but you don't read the Bible.
You're right.
Or your pastors don't talk about it. I'm telling the truth in the Bible, okay? Bible is here. If you want to just make sure I'm just talking to you the right or wrong, you can read Exodus, okay? Exodus, Genesis, Exodus, the second book of the Old Testament, right? They had to stay in the wilderness for 40 years. But from Egypt to the promised land, how long it takes by walking? 15 days. 15 days. But they had to stay in the wilderness how many years? 40 years. Because when Moses sent 12 people to take a look at the land, it takes 40 days. But God converted 40 days to 40 years. You guys stay in the wilderness for 40 years because you didn't listen to me. Okay? That's because of the misbelief, mistrust. You pay for it. How many? So 40 days research, but they failed to follow God's words. So they had to stay 40 years in the wilderness, which means until the first and second generations died in the wilderness. That means God let the first generation and second generation die. So waiting for somebody dies, which is great. That's God's way. So that can be one of the options.
But I think that is now they try to say that
You don't have to pray, God
not
kill
good.
them right now. You don't have to do that, or you just kill those people.
So you have to wait.
But you can wait. All right, you can wait, enjoy, and they're gonna die, and you can do something you want. That can be another option.
but they teach us there is no good way
No good way? What? Waiting?
for someone to live.
Oh, you don't have to pray for it. You don't have to, wish that he can die early. Well,
I know what you mean.
then what about, those things are connected with the interpretation. Interpretation. Okay. What about, have you ever heard about David? The King David in Israel? Okay. There was a King David in Israel. So we have so many Davids in the United States. People like David. There are lots of Davids. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
There are lots of Davids. King David was the second king of Israel. Who is the first king? You guys are Christians, but you don't read the Bible.
I read it, but I forgot it.
Saul is the first king, but the second king is David. Do you know what the Psalm is? The book of Psalm? Do you know what the book of Psalm? Oh my goodness, do you really go church? There's a book of Psalm. It's like a poet It's like a poet. 150 poets in the Psalms, okay? So David just he prayed a lot and made songs to the Lord God. And he just said, "Oh my goodness, Lord, how many enemies are trying to kill me? Please wash them away," which means please kill them, remove them. All right? That's what David did. So David was wrong because he was expecting him, especially praying God that just remove them, wash them away, which means kill them away, right? Is it bad? Well, but I don't want. Well, I can just do what David did, but well, I don't want to just pray, God, please God, kill them. Please God, remove him, terminate him, kill him, let him have car accidents on the street or something. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do. I can pray like that, but he's not going to listen to me. Maybe he can listen to me. I don't know what's going to do, right? I cannot just judge what he's going to do, okay? But I can pray. But I don't want to do it. But I think that, oh my goodness, what if God just kill him or let him die earlier than me so that I can be peaceful? That can be one of the options, though. But what about his interpretation? Well, you don't like my interpretation of some Bible stories. You can agree with me or not, even though I just present the real Bible story. Even Christians don't accept what Bible says. But what if your clients don't like and don't accept, don't trust, don't want to listen to your counselor's interpretation? That can be a challenging not only to your clients but also to counselors. Third, interpretation is still viewed more as a theoretical construct than a research variable in non-dynamic schools. Within the psychodynamic schools, the value of different types of interpretations has been outlined, but the active ingredients of interpretation have not been fully explored. In non-dynamic schools, there is even greater ambiguity regarding interpretation's effectiveness, given that the research emphasis in these approaches has been on variables other than interpretation. Interpretation in non-psychodynamic approaches has not been systematically investigated, especially in relation to in-session outcome or progress. So there can, when we want to interpret what the client says, but at the same time we have to be careful not to fall into any pits counselors can fall. Okay, so that interpretation is a good method, but at the same time we need to be careful not to mess our counseling sessions. So we want to just see how much our clients can accept and think about and consider or trust. So we want to just present our interpretations like this cautiously, but it can be a very good tool for our counseling. So that's one of the techniques we can use in our counseling sessions. Do you have any questions or comments?